There are some ideas in history that sound so radical that people stop listening before they even try to understand them. That is exactly what happens in episode 5 of The Republic. At this point, Socrates thinks he is finally done building the aegis. He is ready to move on and explain how societies decline and become corrupt. But his friends stop him immediately. They basically say, wait, you cannot just skip over those strange ideas that you mentioned earlier. And honestly, if you ask me, they have a point. Because Socrates has quietly suggested some shocking things. The first one is that women should become soldiers and rulers. The second one is the destruction of the private family among the guardians. And the third one is that philosophers should become kings. Even today, these ideas still sound controversial. Socrates himself calls them waves because he knows each one will crash against public opinion. And the first wave arrives immediately. Remember, women as guardians. Now we have to understand how shocking this sounded in ancient Athens. Women in Athens were mostly excluded from political life. Many women were expected to remain inside domestic spaces while men controlled public affairs. So, when Socrates suggests women should receive the same education as men, train with men, and even go to war, the people listening almost laugh at the idea. To them, it sounded ridiculous. But Socrates began examining the issue carefully. He asks a simple question. If a man and a woman are both doctors, does gender change the nature of medicine? I believe you will say no, of course not. A skilled female doctor still understands medicine the same way a skilled male doctor understands medicine. So, Socrates argues that ability should matter more than gender. Now, this is important because Plato is not saying men and women are physically identical. He admits men may generally be physically stronger, but his argument is deeper than that. He believes talent, intelligence, courage, and wisdom are distributed across both sexes. And honestly, modern life proves his point repeatedly. Today we see women leading countries. We've seen women commanding military operations. We've even seen women performing complex surgeries, teaching in universities, leading scientific research, managing global cooperation. Think about someone like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Her ability to negotiate global economic issue is not limited by gender. Or think about women working in conflict zones as doctors, journalists, and humanitarian workers. Plato's point is very simple. If someone has the ability for a role, society should not waste that ability simply because of gender. Now let us pause here for a moment. This does not mean Plato was completely modern in his thinking about women. But for a man that is writing over 2,000 years ago, this argument was extremely radical. And honestly, many societies are still struggling with this issue today. Even now in some places, women are discouraged from leadership, girls face barriers to education, women in politics face stronger scrutiny than men. So, the first wave is not as ancient as it first appears. Then, Socrates introduces the second wave. You remember the second wave? And this one is far more even disturbing than the first one. The abolition of the private family among the guardians. Now, when modern readers hear this, they usually react immediately because family is one of the deepest parts of human identity. But Plato is trying to solve a political problem. He believes private family loyalty can compete with loyalty to the state. Now, let us make this practical. Imagine a judge handling a corruption case involving their own child. Can the judge remain completely fair? Or imagine a president appointing family members into powerful government positions. This is one of the major criticisms people make against political system today: nepotism. Giving opportunities not based on competence but based on blood relationships. Plato fears this problem deeply. He believes leaders may begin protecting their own families instead of protecting society as a whole. So, his solution is extreme. The guardians will not have private families. Children will be raised collectively. Parents will not know their biological children. And children will see all adults. We still have that in African society. They will see all adults as their parent. Now, honestly, this sounds uncomfortable because it goes directly against normal human emotional life. And many scholars criticize Plato strongly here. But notice what problem he is trying to solve: division caused by selfish loyalty. Think about modern politics again. Sometimes leaders protect political allies even when corruption is obvious. Sometimes tribal loyalty becomes stronger than national loyalty. Sometimes religious identity becomes stronger than justice itself. People stop asking, what is right? And instead they begin asking, is this person one of us? Is it an Hausa man? Is it Igbo? Is it Yoruba? Plato believes this destroys unity. That is why he wants the guardians to think about the whole society instead of private interest. Now, this also leads to another dangerous idea. The rulers secretly manipulate marriages to produce stronger children. Socrates even admits the ruler will use deception to organize this pairing. This is where many readers begin feeling uncomfortable with Plato, because the ideicity is becoming highly controlled. This is one reason Plato remains controversial. His desire for order sometimes pushes him close to authoritarian control. Modern history gives painful examples of government trying to control human reproduction or even social identity. We see eugenics programs, racial purity, ideologies that force population policies. This example reminds us how dangerous political control over private human life can become. Then, finally, Socrates introduces what he calls the greatest and heaviest wave of all, philosopher kings. Now, this sounds strange immediately because most people do not associate philosophers with political power. When people hear philosopher, they often imagine isolated thinkers, abstract theories, impractical intellectuals. Even today, many societies do not trust intellectuals deeply. Sometimes scholars are mocked as people disconnected from real life. But Socrates argues that this misunderstanding exists because society misunderstands philosophy itself. According to him, a true philosopher is not simply someone who memorizes information. A true philosopher is someone who loves truth itself. And this is where the discussion becomes very deep. Socrates separates knowledge from what we call opinion. Now let us make this simple. Opinion is when people believe things based mainly on appearance, emotion, trends, or incomplete understanding. Knowledge is deeper. It tries to understand reality itself. Let me create this example. During elections, many people support politicians based on certain elements. Number one is their tribe, their religion, their emotional speeches, and their online propaganda. That is often what we call public opinion. But careful investigation asks, what is this person's record? What policies are they proposing? What are the long-term consequences? That movement from emotional reaction towards deeper understanding is closer to what Plato means by knowledge. Socrates says most people live at the level of appearances. They see beautiful things, but they do not understand beauty itself. They see acts called justice, but they do not understand justice itself. And honestly, this is still relevant today. Modern society is heavily driven by appearances, branding, political image, management, social media, performance, celebrity culture. Sometimes appearance becomes more powerful than even the truth. A person may look successful online while privately struggling emotionally. A politician may sound patriotic while secretly corrupt. A company may advertise morality while exploiting workers. Plato believes philosophers are different because they constantly search beneath appearance, and because they pursue truth instead of popularity. Socrates argues they are the most qualified people to govern. Now, whether Plato is correct is another question entirely, because history also shows intellectuals can become arrogant or disconnected from ordinary people. But Plato's concern is still important. He's asking, should society be led by people chasing power or by people genuinely seeking wisdom? That question has never disappeared. And in the next episode, Plato explains why philosophers are usually rejected by society itself, why people who pursue truth are often treated as strange, useless, or even dangerous. And honestly, when we look at history from Socrates himself to many modern whistleblowers, journalists, and critical thinkers, we begin to realize Plato may have understood this problem better than most people think. Thank you for joining me on this episode. I remain your host, Osho Abiodun.